Coming in from London from over the pole, flying in a big airliner, chickens flying everywhere around the plane. Could we ever feel much finer? Coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man. Yeah, there's a guy with a ticket to Mexico. No, he couldn't look much stranger, walking in the hall with his things and all. Smiling said he was a Lone Ranger, coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man. Hip woman walking on the moving floor, tripping on the escalator. There's a man in the line and she's blowing his mind, thinking that he's already made her. Coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man. Coming in from London from over the pole, flying in a big airliner, chicken flying everywhere around the plane. Could we ever feel much finer? Coming into Los Angeles, bringing in a couple of keys. Don't touch my bags if you please, Mr. Customs Man. I don't want a pickle, I just want to ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want a tickle, 'cause I'd rather ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want to die, I just want to ride on my motorcycle. It was late last night the other day, I thought I'd go up and see Ray. So I went up and I saw Ray. There was only one thing Ray could say was, I don't want a pickle, I just want to ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want a tickle, 'cause I'd rather ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want to die, I just want to ride on my motorcycle. Just last week I was on my bike, I run into a friend named Mike. Run into my friend named Mike. Mike no longer has a bike, he cries, I don't want a pickle, just want to ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want a tickle, 'cause I'd rather ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want to die, I just want to ride on my motorcycle. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. This song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant is not the name of the restaurant. That's just the name of the song. That's why I call the song Alice's Restaurant. Now it all started 2 Thanksgivings ago. That's 2 years ago on Thanksgiving, when my friend and I went up to visit Alice at the restaurant. But Alice doesn't live in the restaurant. She lives in the church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Facha the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they got a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be, and having all that room, seeing as how they took out all the pews, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there and found all the garbage in there, and we decided that it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the city dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction, and headed on toward the city dump. Well, we got there, and there was a big sign and a chain across the dump saying, "This dump is closed on Thanksgiving." And we never heard of a dump closed on Thanksgiving before, and with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset, looking for another place to put the garbage. We didn't find one till we came to the side road, and off the side of the side road was another 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff was another pile of garbage. And we decided that one big pile was better than two little piles, and rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep, and didn't get up till the next morning when we got a phone call from Officer Obie. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage, and I just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Obie. I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." After speaking to Obie for about 45 minutes on the telephone, we finally arrived at the truth of the matter, and he said that we had to go down and pick up the garbage, and also had to go down and speak to him at the police officer's station. So we got in the red VW microbus with the shovels and rakes and implements of destruction and headed toward the police officer's station. Now, friends, there was only one of two things that Obie could have done at the police officer's station, and the first was that he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest on the telephone, which wasn't very likely and we didn't expect it. And the other thing was that he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage in the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer's station, there was a third possibility that we hadn't even counted on, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. And I said, "Obie, I can't pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." And he said, "Shut up, kid, and get back in the back of the patrol car." And that's what we did, sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this is happening. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. But when we got to the scene of the crime, there were 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to get in the newspaper story about it. And they was using all kinds of cop equipment that they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster tire tracks, footprints, dog-smelling prints, and they took 27 8x10 colored glossy photographs with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. Took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. After the ordeal, we went back to the jail. Obie said he was going to put us in a cell. He said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in a cell. I want your wallet and your belt." I said, "Obie, I can understand you wanting my wallet so I don't have any money to spend in the cell, but what do you want my belt for?" And he said, "Kid, we don't want any hangings." I said, "Obie, you think I'm going to hang myself for littering?" Obie said he was just making sure, and friends, Obie was, because he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown, and he took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, roll the toilet paper out the window, slide down the roll, and have an escape. Obie was making sure. And it was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? There's a song about Alice. Alice came by and with a few nasty words to Obie on the side, bailed us out of jail, and we went back to the church and had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat and didn't get up until the next morning when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obie came in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and the paragraph on the back of each one. Sat down. Man came in, said, "All rise." We all stood up, and Obie stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with a seeing-eye dog, and he sat down. We sat down. Obie looked at the seeing-eye dog, then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and looked at the seeing-eye dog, and then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, and began to cry because Obie came to the realization that it was a typical case of American blind justice, and there just wasn't nothing he can do about it, and the judge wasn't going to look at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was, to be used as evidence against us. And we was fined $50 and had to pick up the garbage in the snow. But that wasn't what I'm here to tell you about. I'm here to talk about the draft. They got a building down in New York City called Whitehall Street, where you walk in, you get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I went down, got my physical examination one day, and I walked in, I sat down, got good and drunk the night before, so I looked and felt my best when I went in that morning, because I wanted to look like the all-American kid from New York City. I wanted to feel like I wanted to be the all-American kid from New York, and I walked in, sat down, I was hung down, brung down, hung up, and all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and I walked in, I sat down, they gave me a piece of paper that said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist in room 604. I went up there and I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to kill. I want to see blood and gore and guts and veins in my teeth. Eat dead, burnt bodies. I mean, kill, kill." And I started jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill." And he started jumping up and down with me. And we was both jumping up and down, yelling, "Kill, kill, kill, kill." And the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall and said, "You're our boy." Didn't feel too good about it. Proceeding down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, detections, neglections, and all kinds of stuff they was doing to me in the thing there. And I was there for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I was there a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. And I was just having a tough time there. And they was inspecting, injection, every single part of me, and they was leaving no part untouched. Proceeding through, and I finally came to see the very last man. I walked in, sat down. After a whole big thing there, I walked up and I said, "What do you want?" He said, "Kid, we only got one question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of Alice's Restaurant Massacre with full orchestration and 5-part harmony and stuff like that and other phenomena. He stopped me right there. He said, "Kid, have you ever been to court?" And I proceeded to tell him the story of the 27 8x10 colored glossy photos with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one. He stopped me right there and he said, "Kid, I want you to go over and sit down on that bench that says Group W." And I walked over to the bench there, and there's Group W is where they put you if you might not be moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. There was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench there. There was mother rapers, father stabbers, father rapers sitting right there on the bench next to me, and they was mean and nasty and ugly and horrible, and crime-fighting guys was sitting there on the bench, and the meanest, ugliest, nastiest one of the meanest father raper of them all was coming over to me, and he was mean and ugly and nasty and horrible and all kinds of things, and he sat down next to me. He said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $50 and pick up the garbage." He said, "What were you arrested for, kid?" And I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench there with a hairy eyeball, all kinds of mean, nasty things until I said, "and creating a nuisance." And they all came back, shook my hand, and we had a great time on the bench talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping, all kinds of groovy things that we was talking about on the bench, and everything was fine. We was smoking cigarettes and all kinds of things until the sergeant came over, had some paper in his hand, held it up and said, "Kids, this piece of paper's got 47 words, 37 cents, 58 words. We want to know details of the crime and time of the crime and any other kind of thing you got to say pertaining to and about the crime. I want to stay arresting officer's name and any other kind of thing you got to say. And he talked for 45 minutes, and nobody understood a word that he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench there. I filled out the massacre with the 4-part harmony, wrote it down there just like it was, and everything was fine. And I put down my pencil, and I turned over the piece of paper, and there, on the other side, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, in parentheses, capital letters, quotated, read the following words: "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant and said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of goddamn gall to ask me if I rehabilitated myself. I mean that you sent me, I'm sitting here on the bench. I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, and villages after being a litter bug." He looked at me and he said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington." And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in some little folder, is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. And the only reason I'm singing this song now is because you may know somebody in a similar situation, or you may be in a similar situation. And if you're in a situation like that, there's only one thing you can do. Walk into the shrink wherever you are. Just walk in and say, "Shrink, you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant," and walk out. You know, if one person, just one person does it, they may think he's really sick and they won't take him. And if 2 people do it in harmony, they may think they're both faggots and they won't take either of them. And if 3 people do it, can you imagine 3 people walking in, singing a bar at Alice's restaurant and walking out? They may think it's an organization. And can you imagine 50 people a day? I say 50 people a day walking in, singing a bar at Alice's restaurant and walking out. Friends, they may think it's a movement, and that's what it is. The Alice's Restaurant Anti-Massacre Movement. And all you got to do to join is sing it the next time it comes around on the guitar, with feeling. So we'll wait for it to come around and sing it when it does. Here it comes. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. That was horrible. If you want to end war and stuff, you got to sing loud. To put it, I've been singing this song for 25 minutes. I could sing it for another 25 minutes. I'm not proud or tired. So we'll wait for it to come around again, and this time with 4-part harmony to key on. We're just waiting for it to come around. That's what we're doing. All right now. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant, excepting Alice. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Just walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant, at Alice's Restaurant.